19th, we have UFC 318 with Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, the trilogy in the main event. I'm joined by Joey, no Chia or Jackson with us today, unfortunately, but we're going to get rolling right into the picks. So, first up on the bout order, we have Carly Judice versus Nicole Cagliari. Joey, do you want to start us off on this one?
Sure. Not one that anybody's going to be super excited for on this early prelim. But I do have Carly Judice winning. She's got more finishing potential. I think it's just tough to see a girl like Nicole Cagliari making too much of a push in this flyweight division. It's starting to get a little bit tougher. I think Carly Judice having that finishing potential factor is going to be something that'll help her out a lot in this fight. But also not really banking on this fight a ton. So. Not really too worried about it. What about you, MK?
Yeah, I'm not really too high on my pick for this fight, but I do swing a little bit on Nicole Cagliari just because she is the dog. She has a grappling background. She chases finishes very actively on the ground, and I think that if she does get Judy's on the ground, she could put Judy's into deep waters. Just given the fact that Judy's doesn't have a ton of fight experience, so I'm gonna roll with the dog in Cagliari.
Makes sense. Well, the next fight is a little bit more interesting. Bruno Ferreira versus Jackson McPhee.
Oops.
Who you got in that fight?
For this one, I'm gonna have to go with Bruno Ferreira just because I don't think I've never seen Jackson McVeigh really fight. I haven't really watched tape on him much at all, but I just know that Bruno Ferreira is just like a monster, and his hands are like bricks. And if he
Mm.
lands one time, I can definitely see anyone going lights out. So with someone who's not proven, I'm gonna go with Bruno Ferreira.
Yeah, this is
How
going to
about
be
you,
a
Joey?
major test here for Jackson McPhee here. He just had a canceled fight on the last card, I believe, or no, the last pay-per-view. He was supposed to be fighting, I can't remember who, but he had a fight lined up. Oh, I'm sorry, against Cedric Dumas, of course, our
Oh
fellow
yeah,
friend. He was supposed to be fighting. He had a couple fights fall out. So I think this is going to be a tough fight for him to be able to make his UFC debut in, coming off of a couple canceled bouts. Maybe he was making weight and then putting a little bit more weight on and then having to make weight again. It's just kind of a tough situation for him to come in against a guy who's super fierce and super powerful, and it's Bruno Ferreira. I'm going to be going with Bruno Ferreira here, but I think that we'll see Jackson So we'll see what happens. I think that this is going to be a good matchup for Bruno Ferreira.
yep, yep. I mean, just that height too. That's gonna be a lot to get into reach of.
I mean,
Wow.
Bruno Ferreira. I mean that's something that's going to make this thing interesting for Jackson McPhee specifically. And his grappling prowess. We've seen him on the regionals team be able to get some submission victories and stuff like that. I think he's the type of guy who could make a splash in the UFC. I just think that the UFC isn't really giving him a ton of help here. It's kind of like I remember when Gregory Rodriguez was on kind of a run in the middleweight division, and then they randomly gave him a Bruno Ferreira matchup when he probably should have been getting a top 15 matchup, and Bruno Ferreira knocked him out in the first round after, or like maybe it was the second round after like losing the whole first round, and like he's just that type of guy who has like that ultimate power factor, and I think it's going to be tough.
Yep.
But the next fight, heavyweight matchup, Ryan Spann versus Lucas Bresky. I'm gonna go with Ryan Spann here. I think that Lucas Bresky is tough, and I think his win over Volter Walker obviously ages well. But I might be sipping the Ryan Spann Kool Aid, but Ryan Spann certainly has shown us a lot at light heavyweight, and I just find it hard to believe that it's not going to translate at heavyweight at some point. He's still young. His first matchup was against Waldo Cortez Acosta, who's a you know a better heavyweight that we've seen, obviously ranked sixth now in the heavyweight rankings. I think that we could see a Ryan Spann knockout here just because I think he's got it in him. I think maybe the heavyweight jump was a little bit too soon, too fast. Now he's got, how he's going to build his weight up. He's hopefully more comfortable, and hopefully he'll, look a lot better at heavyweight. I know he looked terrible in his last fight, but hopefully he can look a little bit better, right?
Yeah, I think
What do you think, MK?
Honestly, I'm not. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't trust Ryan Span at all. Like um,
Totally understandable.
yeah, I don't trust him at all. I think that he's not very reliable. I do like his reach usually, but like up against
Mhm,
Lucas, he does have the same exact reach. But also, I
mhm,
think Lucas hasn't looked the same since that one win he had against Walter Walker. He's been getting
mhm.
finished, and he's been getting finished early. So I do see this as a very promising spot for Ryan Span to bounce back. I think it ends in a Ryan Span KO. I'm just not very confident because I don't like betting on Ryan Span at all. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think a little piece of me just wants to see some of these light heavyweights. Like, I really wanted to see Kennedy and Zechku win last week. And I think it's because I
facts.
want to see some more of these light heavyweights make the move up to heavyweight because I think that they'd have so much more success. Guys like Jamal Hill, guys like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, I mean, Dominic Reyes, but he's having a, decent showing in light heavyweight now. But like, there's
Mhm.
guys that could Jan Blahovic. Like, there's guys that could make this move, and I think have some success. And I wish they'd do it more. But like, these guys are getting stymied at heavyweight, so maybe heavyweight just is different. You know what I mean? And Lucas Bresky will show out against Ryan Span. But I'm really hoping Ryan Span has a good showing here.
Yeah.
Um, but now we're talking about light heavyweight. Might as well go into the next matchup: Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Prashniov. I almost said Marcin Tybura, thinking of heavyweight. Um, I'll shoot over to you. Who do you got in this fight?
I'm gonna go with Jimmy Crute. I think he's the much more skilled
Mhm.
fighter, but also Marcin Prachnio. He has that like very active like blitzing like striking, right? Or am I thinking of this wrong?
Mhm.
So I don't know.
No,
I don't
he's
know exactly.
he's he's definitely a very like very good striker. I mean,
Yeah.
remember I can't remember. I believe it was Modestus Bukauskas where he hit him
Yeah.
with that like like that like
Question mark
weird
kick in
kick
like the
like
pocket or
right in
something.
front of
Yeah.
his face. Yeah,
Yeah.
right in
Yeah.
his face. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
he's a very technical striker, I'd say.
I agree. I think that Jimmy Crute is a dog though, and I think that he should get the W in this one. What do you think? Or did you
See,
already pick
it's
your pick?
tough for me to pick on this one. No, I haven't. It's tough for me to pick on this because like the age difference obviously massive. Um, and like neither of these guys are incredibly none of neither of these guys I see jumping up into the light heavyweight division and like becoming ranked anytime soon. To be honest with you, Jimmy Crute had his day in the sun, and I think he kind of has been fraud checked a little bit. I think this is a good matchup for Marcin Prashio. He's going up against a guy who doesn't like taking low kicks, who's had an injury history with low kicks,
Oh.
and also Jimmy Crute barely beat Rodrigo. Or no, they drew with Bellato there. The guy who faked being KO'd by Paul Craig. It's just I don't have a lot of faith in Jimmy Crute right now in his skill level, and that's saying something because he's going up against somebody who I don't believe is like super super good. But I think Marcin Prachnio has enough in the striking realm. I don't think Jimmy Crute's going to be diving for legs in this fight. I think he's going to allow Prachnio to get comfortable on the feet. I think Prachnio can take this win. I don't know if he's an underdog in this fight at all, but I could see him getting a really good win here. Late in his career against Jimmy Crute.
Ooh, I'm gonna check real quick. Let's see.
Is he?
Is he an underdog?
Yeah, I was gonna say that fight might be closer than you think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Whenever you said his low kick history, I thought about that one clip of him like on his stool, like,
The
and he was
Anthony
like
Smith,
legging.
remember that was I think
Yeah,
against Anthony Smith, right?
yeah,
Where he like basically tore his Achilles in the octagon.
yep.
Um, yeah, I don't know who's the favorite in
Plus
that
two
fight,
twenty
but
underdog.
he's plus 220 underdog. Yeah, I'd say
Yeah,
it's pretty good out value.
yep. I agree with that.
Do you want to move on to Fujit for versus Dulatov?
Yep, let's do it.
What do you got?
So in this fight, um, high likelihood of a fraud check, but I'm gonna have to go with Dulatov. I think that Dulatov
Ooh.
is going to find the knockout. But I think he's like his odds are like heavily juiced. It makes zero sense to take him
Yeah.
against a veteran like
But
athlete.
to be honest with you, like it's not even that crazy because he is real, like because he is going up against a guy like Adam Fujit, who's just not, or very good.
Yeah, yeah,
36
I
years
agree.
old, just really has never really shown his skill level. Never really
Yeah,
shown his skill level in the octagon. Um, I honestly, my opinion is Dulatov is going to kind of do away with him pretty quickly. But
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
yeah. I think Dulatov is like a little bit more of a higher like more inflated favorite, like -600, closer to. Which I do you agree with those odds? Like he's 1-0 or 1-0 in the UFC, but he's like 11 and I guess he's 11-1. Oh shoot, did we lose Joey? Let's wait for Joey. We are currently just waiting for Joey. Hold on, let me check to see. Huh. What is going on right now? I see Joey turning on and off his cam, but it's not showing anything. Is this my connection or is this your connection, Joey? I don't know. I'm taking my devices off the Wi-Fi. Maybe this will help. Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah,
Okay. Did you miss my whole Gautier thing?
Gautier thing.
Yeah, like the whole. I went to Robert Valentin versus Gautier.
Oh no, no, we missed it, or I missed it at least.
Well, we'll cut it. We'll cut it into it. But
Okay.
like I was saying, Tevin Gautier, he's massive for this middleweight division, even bigger than Robert Valentin, who's already big for the division. I think Gautier is going to go in there and manhandle Robert Valentin. They're giving Valentin terrible matchups, but Gautier is just one of them. One of ones. He's going to be up there in the rankings soon. I promise you, he's very tough. I think French people are going to be cheering his name on for a while. I think he's going to be what people thought Benoit Saint Denis was going to be. You know what I mean, for the French
Hmm.
people. What do you think?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know like a ton about these fighters. I've only watched them ever since they come into the UFC sphere of fame. But
Mhm.
like, I do like Gautier's power and his, he surprised a lot of people in his last fight, and I think yeah, they are. I agree with you whenever you say that they're giving Valentin bad matchups. This is just it screams bad matchup to me. So I'm gonna have to go with Gautier or Gautier,
Yeah.
Gautier. Yeah, however you say that.
Makes sense. We can jump to Francisco Prado versus Nikolai Vretnikov. I'm gonna go with Francisco Prado here. I think Vretnikov is one of those
Damn,
guys
really?
in the welterweight division that's kind of getting fed uh as kind of a free win. Vretnikov's been not looking great in some of his performances. We saw Austin Vanderford beat him up pretty handedly. Francisco Prado is at least putting more closer fights together with guys like Jake Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can see Francisco Prado having a decent year and saving his UFC career probably. Getting him a couple more fights on the contract for sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I whenever I see this matchup, I think that it could either end with Francisco Prado clipping him like at every exchange, or I could see it as
Mhm.
Veretennikov point fighting to a victory. And I was actually thinking a little bit more on the Veretennikov side of things, and it surprised me whenever he
Yeah,
took.
the close fight against Danny Barlow was interesting to me, but I think the
Yeah.
knockout against Sam Patterson kind of made that age a little terribly for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're right. Actually, that
Hmm.
that is very true. Um, you're right. I didn't even think about that Sam Patterson knockout. I completely forgot that even happened. But I do have Veretennikov in
But
this matchup.
neither of these guys, neither. I mean, I just think Francisco Bar's been putting together closer fights.
Yeah.
Varetnikov did put together that against that Barlow fight, but he got manhandled in that Austin Vanderford fight. Maybe that's just what's sticking in the back of my head.
Oh yeah, you're right. And
But I don't know.
going to a decision against Jake Matthews is a pretty it's a good thing to do because he's been finishing like top
Yeah, I
level
don't see
guys.
Varetnikov being able to finish Prado. I can see Varetnikov like maybe being able to like get his decision maybe, but like obviously his grappling isn't that good if he was getting dominated by Vanderford. So it's like it's a tough matchup.
True,
But
true.
what if I looks like we might are I don't know, are you split, are you, did I convince you to join the Prado train, or are you sticking with Varetnikov?
I'm gonna stick with Veretennikov. I just whenever I look back at the like I know it was in the past, right? But it's 2023. He
Mhm.
lost against Jamie
It's true.
Malarkey, and I can't look past that one for some reason.
That's
It's
true too.
sticky.
They're, yeah, they both have questionable losses.
Yeah.
This is a more interesting, like meaningful fight here. I think we're starting to get into them now. Marvin Vittori versus
Sorry.
Brendan Allen. I think this fight should have been on the main card. Super disrespectful, but whatever. I'm excited
Mhm.
to see it. These guys have heat, already.
Oh
Who do you
yeah.
got?
I'm gonna go with Brendan Allen. I think that Brendan Allen is the better fighter, just makes bad decisions. And although I won't be like putting any significant money on him, I think that he will be able to win. I just think that Marvin Vittori has kind of plateaued, uh, and he hasn't really grown for a good portion of his last part of his career. And also, he's coming back after he came back from that injury, or was it an injury? It was an injury, right?
Something. Yeah, he
Uh,
had a couple of injuries with his like shoulders and
shoulder.
biceps and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, as soon as he came back from that injury, he hasn't looked the same to me. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with Brendan Allen here. What about you, Joey?
The Italian bias may be sinking in with me, but I'm going with Marvin Vittori here.
Ooh,
He's still a young guy, 31 years old, so he has time to, sink in, get in sync with his body, I should say. And I didn't think his performance against Roman Dolidze was, horrific. I just don't think he did a ton, and it's tough to be able to do a ton when you don't have a ton to offer in your arsenal in terms of like mixing it up. Like he doesn't really mix it up
mm-hmm.
that often. We would have seen it, Marvin, diving for takedowns more often, and being able to be successful against a guy like Roman Kopylov if he had that in his arsenal. So I don't think that he'll be doing that in this fight. I
Okay,
think Brendan Allen will be diving for takedowns a lot. And I think he might miss a couple. And when Brendan Allen isn't getting the takedowns, we see how sloppy he gets on the feet, especially against guys like, Amavov and Anthony Hernandez in his most recent fight. I think Marvin Vittori is better striking than Anthony Hernandez. I think he'll be able to stuff the takedowns. I think he's stronger. I
oh,
just think I think that in terms of the striking battle, Marvin Vittori will be able to win on the feet, and I think this fight will happen a lot more on the feet than it will on the ground. So I think that Marvin Vittori will be able to get it done.
okay, okay.
But it's gonna be an interesting one because they do have some crazy heat in this fight.
Yeah, like they have like drama where they were like fighting in some kind of hotel or something, right? Or I don't even
Yeah,
know.
in Vegas casino.
Oh yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. A lot of, this is basically to save, Marvin Vittori from falling out of the rankings here. So I'll be interested to see if he can get a big win here to kind of revitalize his career because he hasn't gotten a win in a while. There's another guy, obviously, that's having a fight later on that hasn't won in a very long time, and I'm hoping to see him get a win. But we'll talk about that later. Kyler
yeah.
Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. Who you got? I'm a big Vinicius Oliveira fan, so
Damn.
check your
All right.
tone if you're gonna go with Kyler Phillips on
Yeah.
this.
No, I think Vinicius Oliveira is like very, very talented, and I think he's going to give a great like. This is going to be a close fight in my eyes. I just think that Kyler Phillips um, is very active. He's very active, and I think that he uses his movement very well. And I feel like we haven't seen much of that be a test for Vinicius yet, and so this is going to be kind of a jump ish. But yeah, I'm going to go with Kyler Phillips on this one. What
This is
about you?
disrespectful, MK. Don't make me pull out. Don't make me pull up the stats on you. Now, not only
Do
has
it, do it.
Vinicius Oliveira had Saeed Nurmagomedov, Ricky Simone, and Bernardo Sapage back to back to back, which are three pretty decent, bantamweights that he's had to face to start off his career. So he has a little bit of experience against guys who are decent. I think Saeed Nurmagomedov would beat up Kyler Phillips right now, especially after that embarrassing fight he had against Rob Font. I don't think Rob Font is anything special, and for Kyler Phillips to put up 38 significant strikes in a 3-round fight against him is an absolute embarrassment to the sport. So there's no way that my goat Vinicius Oliveira, the future bantamweight goat, is going to allow a bum like Kyler Phillips to absolutely maul him in this fight. I can't see it happening. Kyler Phillips
Okay.
got his ranking by beating up on midget Pedro Lopez, like beating up on an old midget for no reason. Kyler
For
Phillips
no
is super
reason.
disrespectful. There is no way that he's going to win this fight against Vinicius Oliveira, the future bantamweight champion. The
Okay.
guy who's going to dethrone Marab.
Damn, bro, you're really high on
I,
Vinicius.
Vinicius Oliveira is my boy. I cannot let the disrespect slide.
I could see that vision.
I had
Like
to
I
go
could see him
off.
like flying knee Marab or something. While like yeah, like I could see that vision
Facts,
for
bro.
sure.
He's the future, bro. He's the future of this bandweight division. He's the guy I've been telling everyone about. Like, watch out for this guy. Like, he's gonna be
Yeah.
a future champ. Like, he's so good. Like, Brazil doesn't have a lot of I mean, actually, I'm totally lying. With the fighting nerds, they do have a lot of prospects. But Vinicius Oliveira is like my top prospect right now on the watch. Like top on, I think he is ranked now actually, but he's my top ranked guy that I think that's gonna make a run for that title soon. He just needs a couple wins. This Kyler Phillips win, and give him another win in the top five. I think he's got it. They got to give him. They're gonna give him a title.
That makes
But sorry
sense.
for going
I
off
like
on you.
that.
It's okay. I can see. If Kyler Phillips wins, I'll be sad. But whatever. We can jump to Daniel Zellhuber versus Michael Johnson here.
Let's do
This
that. I
is a
think
tough
that'll be
fight
an
to
easy
actually
one.
consider because you think so? Zellhuber,
Oh, you think that my?
he's
Oh, you go
well,
go
he had
ahead.
a
My
tough
bad.
fight. A really interesting fight against Esteban Ribovic. I know he lost, but it was extremely interesting, and I actually really enjoyed watching that fight. Obviously, it was one of the high points of the um UFC Noche in the Sphere. I thought. I think it was
Mhm.
probably the fight of the night, that Sphere event. Um, Michael Johnson's really tough though. He's a gritty performer, and I think he's the type of guy that after knocking, he's on a 2-fight win streak actually against a couple of bums, but I could see him getting it done. But I'm gonna pick Michael Johnson. Of course, I'm obviously gonna go with the guy who's 13 years younger than him, who had an incredible fight at the Sphere, like I said in his last performance, a very close fight against a very tough opponent in Esteban Ribe. I think Huber will be able to get it done, but I do think this will be a good test for him because Michael Johnson is still very capable. Um, but I think that they can keep feeding Michael Johnson guys that are not that great, like Darius Flowers and Ottoman Izatar. He can get those wins. I like watching him get wins against those guys, but against these
Yeah.
young bulls, I think it might be a little too much.
Yeah. I always
What do you
get
think?
sad whenever they put Michael Johnson against like these young, hungry lions like Zellhuber. I always get a
Mhm.
little sad because I feel like Michael Johnson has earned his rite of passage to fight like absolute taxi drivers and like just get knockouts just
Right,
for the
right.
fans.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like you're giving Michael Chiesa these guys. Give Michael Johnson a couple I mean,
Facts.
Michael Piess
Facts.
is getting the free ride right now. Why can't Michael Johnson, what's his name, Jim Miller's getting the free ride? Come on, give us
Facts,
some of our
bro.
like Bobby Green does not need to be taking any more head kicks. You know what I mean?
Facts, bro.
Give him the free ride. Please give him an Ottoman Isaac for Christ's sake.
No, that's so real, bro.
But yeah, I'm assuming you're going Daniel on this.
Yeah, I'm going Daniel Zellhuber. I think he gets it done by knockout, but I think it's just maybe Michael Johnson at an earlier point in his career would have given him more problems, but I just think even though I think he's going to present some problems with how explosive and quick he is and his hand speed, I just think that Zellhuber he's going to be able to control this fight and he should win. All right, moving on to the next one.
We come to Pitbull to Dan Ige. So this is a weird matchup to go for because me being a big Pitbull fan from when he was in PFL or not PFL Bellator, it makes me want especially in that Yair fight I picked him and was really saddened by his performance. So it makes me want to pick him now, thinking that hey. You've gotten used to the bright lights. You're coming back quickly because you didn't take too much damage in the last fight. Maybe you can get something going against a guy like Danny Ige who doesn't present the same height and length problems that Yair does.
Yeah.
But Danny Ige presents a power problem, man. He presents a major power problem. And I don't want to be the guy to pick against Pitbull and then have Pitbull win, especially against a guy like Dan Ige. But Dan Ige, man, is no chump. You know what I mean?
He's no chump for sure.
It's it's making me consider. I think Danny Ige struggles against guys who have a better wrestling BJJ background than him, and I think Pitbull does have that. He has the ground game to support a matchup against Danny Ige here. So it's making me lean towards Pitbull right now, but don't be surprised if Dan Ige lands a bomb from hell and knocks Pitbull out because Dan Ige is serious. And the only reason I'm picking against Dan Ige here is because he was losing that whole fight against Sean Woodson until he got knocked out or until he knocked him out. And I think that Dan Ige honestly is he can be overperformed. I think that people can outperform him and I think Pitbull can do it, but it's just can a 39-year-old do it? Is 38-year-old Pitbull do it? Is the question, I think. But what do you think? I'm going with I'll lock in my answer with Pitbull, but I'm not very confident about it. I just don't want to be the guy to pick against Pitbull right now if he wins.
Yeah, I mean that's very valid. I think honestly, I'm on the alternate reality side of your probabilities where Dan Ige does land a bomb and Pitbull goes to sleep or something, but I can definitely see I can see Pitbull fighting a really clean fight and just dominating Ige, just being better at everything and just taking him down whenever he wants, landing at range and just picking him apart. But if Dan Ige makes it ugly, if he lands a bomb, I just think that Pitbull at this age, he's weathered the storm. He's been champion already. I think it's time where he's kind of done already. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Dan Ige. Wouldn't hurt to see a Pitbull win. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of my pick with this Pitbull thing is just hope. You know what I mean? That he can get the W and not go out sad here in his UFC career. 2 fights, 2 losses. That'd just be depressing. I think his key to victory would be not getting into those exchanges with Ige. I think if he wrestles and he is able to use his jiu-jitsu to get in effective positions on the ground, I think he'll have a lot more success. But we'll see how he does. I really hope he wins. Not super confident in it, but I am picking him. Who's the favorite in that fight, by the way?
Oh, what was that?
Sure. What's the odds in that fight? I'm wondering.
Let me check for you.
Because I think Pitbull would be a favorite in that.
No. I think Dan Ige is like a -180 favorite. Hold on, let me check though. Let me double check.
Ige is 11 in the rankings, by the way.
Okay. Oh, Dan Ige is a -200 favorite currently on FanDuel.
Yeah. That's man. I think Pip surprising people because people hold on.
What was it?
People don't that how Pitbull, has made his, and that he was giving you a year right off the bat. I think that people are going to be surprised, man.
Oh yeah.
Tough.
Oh yeah. I can definitely see that.
We can move versus Daniel Rodriguez. Another match here. I'll be completely honest with you. I lay up from what I think that he needs ranking in the rankings. And as close to the rankings as Daniel Rodriguez is, I think their match Kevin Holland to try and get him further up in his career. It to me just doesn't really excite me in this fight. I think Kevin Holland kind of can. What do you think? I think Kevin Holland's just got more power. I mean, I know we just said knock out Santiago Ponzinibbio, but Ponzinibbio is known for issues, whereas Holland doesn't have issues, and other than that last knockout has been I don't have a lot of faith in power.
Yeah, I think Daniel Rodriguez. I'm not very high on him. I think that Kevin Holland is the more explosive fighter. I think they both have round three knockout against over Santiago Ponzinibbio. I just think that Kevin Holland is the better fighter all around, and I don't know. Daniel Rodriguez has always been like I've been banking on Daniel Rodriguez's career to be close to over for a while now, so I'm gonna go with Kevin Holland.
It's a tough fight for Daniel Rodriguez here. I could see this fight going to a decision, but I think a lot of damage being worn on Daniel Rodriguez's face by the end of the fight. Be definitely landing the bigger punches.
I agree with that.
To Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov here. This is definitely going to be an interesting pick. I'm going to go ahead and assume you're picking Roman Kopylov, though.
You're picking Roman Kopylov? Is that what I heard?
I'm going ahead and assuming you're picking Roman Kopylov.
Well, I think that Paulo Costa is actually going to win this fight by either KO or decision. Wait, you're on Paulo Costa too?
Man, you're riding the Paulo Costa.
Yeah, I am.
Let's go.
Wait, what's your prediction? Oh wait, Joey, can you hear me? Fuck. Oops, I did not say that. Joey. Yo. Effing Riverside, man. Okay, can you hear me? I do not think so. Hello? Joey? Shit.
All right, can you hear me?
Oh yeah,
can you hear
me? I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm obviously going with Paulo Costa. Mm-hmm. I think that he has an iron chin. I don't think Kopylov's going to be able to put him out of there with his hands, and I think that he's dynamic enough on the feet to be able to keep Kopylov from closing the distance and landing some of his weirdly, chin out in front punches that he lands. Kopylov ends up throwing a lot of punches where his hands are and his chin are like way further than his feet. He's almost like running at his punches, and I don't really
Yep.
like that in a matchup against Paulo Costa, who throws a lot of kicks and is really dangerous in that area. So I think I
Facts.
can definitely see Paulo Costa landing a lot of nice counter shots against a guy like Roman Kopylov, who honestly fights a lot like Yoel Romero does, but with a lot less power and a lot less danger. What do you
Yep.
think?
I agree with you. I was even thinking about like Roman Kopylov. He stays light and he tries to throw a bunch of like kicks as well. So I was thinking Paulo Costa might even close distance while he's throwing like a naked kick and
Mhm.
just blitz him and catch him. But yeah, I agree with you where how he's like lunging out with his punches and he just keeps his defense a little bit
Mhm.
lax. And you can't do that against someone like
Mhm.
Paulo Costa. So I'm going with Paulo.
Who just has tremendous power too. We just haven't
Yeah.
been able to see it on display a lot because of the opponents that he's had to fight. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting matchup. I'm definitely excited for it. I'm really happy that you're going with Paul Costa too.
Hell yeah. He's
All
much
right,
more
let's
proven.
finish
I don't
this up so
understand
that
how
my
he's a dog.
facts. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just because he's on the losing streak, and a lot of people have been riding high on Roman Kopylov, especially after the Chris Curtis win too.
Oh yeah, true.
Um, but let's move on to the main event here before my computer crashes again. Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, the trilogy. Max
Oh yeah.
Holloway has to get it done here. It's the only thing that makes sense. Dustin's going out on a loss here. He has to. Max is just better than him. We know that now. We've seen Max knock out and absolutely beat Gaethje to a pulp. We saw Gaethje head kick Poirier into a different dimension like 3 fights of Poirier's ago. Poirier looked not that
Facts.
great against Benoit Saint Denis until he got the KO. People want to hype up his performance against Islam, but he wasn't looking that great in that performance either. He maybe won a round, and everyone wants to like pat him on the back for it.
Yeah.
Max Holloway is the guy that's going to absolutely put him away. He's going to be the guy that we're going to be seeing getting a matchup against Arman or against Paddy Pimblett soon. I think that he's going to run through Poirier possibly in the first 3 rounds. I think his power at lightweight is just going to be a different thing, and I think Poirier's chin is starting to go for sure because we're starting to see him go out cold and get dropped and get tired and kind of look a lot more weathered in his fights recently.
I agree with that. I think
What do you think?
I'm on the same side as you. Actually, I have Max Holloway winning this trilogy fight, and it's for most of the same reasons. I think Dustin Poirier, um, he people are high on his performance against Islam's fight for some reason, but like Islam had staff going into that fight as well, and he still put on a pretty dominant
Mhm.
performance. Dustin, I think his defense getting knocked out by Justin Gaethje via head kick, that was pretty crazy to watch. Um, I just I don't know. I think someone like Max, who's like shown his evolution to, he's much more filled in at 155 now, and that the timing of his kicking game against Gaethje, it just makes me think that he's going to pick apart Poirier, and he's going to really show that 155 is his true weight class now, and it's a much different time than it was in those previous 2 fights. So I'm going with Max Holloway
Mhm.
on this one. I think it's crazy that his odds are this
Yeah.
close, but it makes sense because Dustin, I guess, put a not terrible performance against Islam. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a big Dustin fan. Everybody knows that. I think he just is not the same guy. He beat up on
yeah,
once he beat up on McGregor twice and knocked him out when McGregor had no idea what he was doing, obviously in the cage. Like those wins, congratulations, have been holding him on for the past 5 years because
facts.
getting he got subbed against Charles. He barely beat Michael Chandler, was losing the whole fight, pulled up a last second guillotine because Michael Chandler is like in his own way in most of his fights. Gaethje then head kicked him into oblivion, and then he beat up on Benoit Saint Denis after Benoit Saint Denis gassed out for a round and a half of beating the shit out of him. Islam killed him, and then we're getting him in another like basically title eliminator where he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna retire or not. He pisses me off with that shit. I hope that we just put it to bed here. Max knocks him
Yeah,
out
that's
cold, and
funny.
we end the whole fucking Dustin Poirier experiment.
Yep, yep.
But we'll
I'm
see.
with you there.
We'll see what happens. I'm glad that we're kind of aligned on a lot of these picks, actually, a lot more than I thought we'd be, because I feel like I'm taking a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit of controversial stances on some of these picks. So I appreciate that you're with me on these. Are you going to be going
Hell
live
yeah.
with me this weekend?
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
yes,
go.
sir. I
We'll
will.
fire me
Let's
up.
go. Yeah,
All right,
we'll
well,
definitely go
perfect.
live.
We'll see you guys live this weekend. We will chat about the fights. You guys can talk to me about how terrible my picks were because obviously we weren't able to really do it on live here.
Oh
But
yeah.
we'll be able to talk about it. So hopefully I see you guys this weekend. Hopefully me and MK will be able to see you guys this weekend and hang out and watch the UFC fights. Hopefully they're good ones. Just
Oh
like
yeah.
last week's card, which was a pretty decent card as well. So
Yeah, that was a fire card. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and I guess we'll see you guys next week. Oh wait, shit, Joey, I think you're robot-y right now for me. Hold on, let me see if I can do anything on my end.
What's
Oh,
that
you're
mean?
good now. You're good. You're good now.